guys, it's ShadowFlyer. Today I'm just going to go over the arrival and in-processing before air assault, and it's not going to be a terribly long video, but it's going to go into some detail about how the course starts. And then my next video is going to be on 0 day and phase 1. So for arrival and in-processing, most of us arrive the day prior to in-processing day. They give you a specific day for in-processing, but on our information packet, it said you could arrive the day before, and it said you could start your in-processing stuff up to 24 hours from the in-processing start time, which I believe was 9 a.m. So I think it was pretty much as long as you arrived after 9 a.m. the day prior, you could at any point just begin your processing work. It was a surprise to us when we got there, and there was a sign on the door, and it just said pretty much no longer doing it prior to, we're just all going to do it together. And I think that makes sense. It probably makes their job a little easier when they don't have to try to do 270 people individually with their paperwork, and rather just do it all at once. So makes sense. But yeah, so instead of doing it at 9 a.m. they pushed it back to 1 p.m. And it took quite a while. But so the day prior, since we all arrived before in-processing day, there was a lot of downtime. We kind of just hung out, got to know each other a little bit. The girls ended up having to sleep in the gym. It was interesting. They literally slept on the gym mats because apparently the AC in their barracks stopped working. So we had 2 working male barracks, and then the girls just the entire time they just slept in the gym. They did eventually get cots, but for the first few days they just slept on the floor. So stinks, but I mean, they started off with I think about 30, and then after 0 day there's only about 10 of them left. So I think that's why they got such accommodations, is just because there weren't many of them. I think if there had been like 70 girls, they probably would have done something different, but since there were only a few of them, they just said sleep on the mats, which I think that's just an army thing. But yeah, so there was a lot of downtime. None of us had food. They didn't start serving us food until after in-processing. So a lot of people ended up calling for Domino's pizza. My other Air Force friend had a car, so we were able to go out. We got Wendy's. And I think some of the other guys ended up getting some other food since he had a car. But since so many people flew in, most people didn't have a car to go out and just get food. So it was pretty much call for food, find a friend with a car, or try walking to the exchange, which some people did, but apparently it wasn't very close. I didn't end up going there, so I didn't know, but I heard it was at least a couple miles away. I don't know, I just know it was really far away, so that's what we did. Yeah, so in processing day, we formed up outside. We already had, before we even started, we had one person pass out, but I don't even know if it's from the heat or from them locking their knees, but we hadn't even started yet and somebody already fell over. But they call us in by alphabetical name, by last name. So it took a while to get through 270 people, and then to make things worse, my name's not at the end of the alphabet, but apparently they had no record of the Air Force cadets coming. So my friend and I got to be the last ones admitted, just because we weren't on the list. So we got stuck with the walk-ons. So it took us, we stood outside for at least an hour. So that part wasn't great, but at least we got inside eventually. Once we got inside, we listened to a briefing, just a quick briefing. Then we had to do some paperwork, and we waited for everyone else to get their paperwork checked. So they went row by row to get their paperwork checked in the back. But since we were the last ones in, we were the last row, and so we were the last ones to get our paperwork checked, which ended up being kind of stinky because they also had obstacle course orientation, I think is what they called it, but they did that at 5:30. It took so long to do all the paperwork and to get it all checked that we didn't even make it there. We got out when they had finished. So that's how long it took to get all the paperwork done. At that point, you moved your stuff and went to dinner. So depending on what barracks you started in, decided if you had to move. So I started in one, and then they assigned me the other barracks to live in, which I'm glad for. But they moved me, so once we got done with paperwork, I had to go grab my stuff. I moved it, found a new bed, and then from there we went to dinner. The food was surprisingly good. I mean, it wasn't like amazing, but for Army food, I was actually pleasantly surprised at the quality of the food. I will say it was pretty much the same food every single day after that, so the feeling of, wow, this is good food kind of wore off after the third time of eating the exact same meal. But hey, it was food, so I'm not going to complain. The barracks I moved into were really nice because the barracks I started off in, it had like no outlets whatsoever. It had like, I think, 2 or 3, I think, on each like side wall. So I think a total of maybe 5 or 6 outlets in the entire barracks, and with a couple, like 100 to 150 people staying in that room trying to charge their phones, it was not fun. So the new barracks that I went to had lots of outlets. It had 2 drinking fountains, which is twice as nice because the first one had one, then someone clogged it up, so they put a trash bag over it and told us we couldn't use it. So the other barracks had no working drinking fountain. And the showers in the first barracks was like the classic, here's a room and a bunch of shower heads, have fun. Whereas the barracks they moved me to were like the individual showers, not like almost like what you'd see if you went camping. But classic, both are classic barracks, but I was very glad they put me in the newer one with outlets, drinking fountains, and private showers. Oh, and we had toilet paper. The first one ran out of toilet paper, so they were using paper towels. For about 3 or 4 days, they only used paper towels. So the fact that we had toilet paper was also a nice little bonus to getting moved. But yeah, so once I got moved in, we ate, came back, showered, had some free time because we hadn't really started anything. So I had to do some email stuff and went to bed. So yeah, that's all I have for today. Be sure to stay tuned. I'm making more videos right now on the individual phases of air assault, the like day-to-day operations. So be sure to stay tuned for those. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If so, hit that like button, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day, guys.